Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and welcome to my podcast, Being Black in Public. You might wonder where that name came from. A lot of y'all know what that means when I say it, because a lot of black folks are scared to be black in public. And so I thought about kind of what I do, and I said, what I do isn't that special per se. It's only special to the extent that other people don't do it. It's only special because a lot of us are raised to be afraid to do this. We're afraid to really tell the truth, and I think that that the truth does set you free. It may hurt you financially. It may cause you to lose some friends, but I love waking up every day and being myself, being who I am, and not being scared of nothing. I see Catherine and Charles and China Blue and Lee and all the homies in the squad. Aaron, how you doing? Vernon, nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Vernon. Andre, what's up, champ? What's happening, Andre? Thank you, brother. I appreciate Andre just called me the champ. I don't know the champion or what. I don't feel like the champ today. Today was a hard day. Today was one of those crazy tough days. I mean, it was just headache after headache. I woke up with problems. Yeah, that was a funny thing. Sometimes, and it's like that when you're an entrepreneur. As y'all see, I got my shirt on that says "I escaped the corporate plantation," and you see a little brown spot on it because I was drinking coffee and I spilled my mocha latte on it. But I love this shirt because I'm very proud of the fact that I escaped the corporate plantation. It was hard to do. Quitting my job was one of the scariest things I ever did in my life. But it was one of those things that really just opened up a whole new universe of possibilities. It really was like the Matrix, like that movie, The Matrix, the red pill, the blue pill. And I took that other pill, and it's the ultimate highs. It's literally, I literally feel like I've been on cloud 12, since I left the job. Because do you ever have that feeling? Do you ever remember? I'm gonna tell you about how I felt when I was a kid. There was one time when I remember staying home from school, and I had this feeling a lot. It wasn't just one time, but I stayed home. I stayed home from school, and I remember being so fascinated by all of the things that happened when I was away at school. Right? I was like, man, all these TV shows are good. I would watch The Jeffersons, and I would watch, I started watching. One time I was home the whole summer, and I started watching. I started watching like All My Children, and I literally got caught up in the storylines of All My Children. Don't tell nobody that, but that was me. I was in middle school, so I knew all about Jenny and whatever, Jenny and Jesse's love affair and all that stuff. So anyway, it's like that's how I felt when I quit my job. When I quit my job, it was like, man, there's all this life to live that doesn't involve being at work. When you're not at work, it's like you can go to the movies and it ain't crowded. You can go on trips and Tuesdays are the same as Saturdays. Every day becomes a Saturday. It's the best feeling in the world. I see somebody asked about this shirt, like where I got it. I got this shirt at, for those on Facebook or YouTube, there, that's what it says. It says I escaped the corporate plantation. But you can go to blackunities.com. That's Black Unities, Black UNITEES.com. But I imagine you gotta earn the shirt before you can wear it. You can't just wear it. You gotta actually escape. And when you escape, you should celebrate. You say, I escaped the corporate plantation, not fit for slavery. And Kimberly says, I so want that feeling. You'll get that feeling one day. You'll get there one day. It takes time. It takes a lot of work and commitment, but it also takes sort of a fearlessness. Meaning that you can feel the fear, but you can't let the fear control your decision making. That's the key. Everybody feels fear. I feel fear all the time. I feel fear every day, and I'm not scared to admit that. I'm not afraid to admit that I get afraid. And the thing about it is I just decided that my negotiation with fear was that I'm gonna acknowledge it and acknowledge its presence, but fear has no power in my house. Fear is not going to keep me away from where I'm supposed to be in my life. Fear is not going to stop me from getting to my destiny. I'm just going to have to be scared the whole time, but I'm going to still go. I'm going to still go make it happen. So don't let fear control your life. Find a way to pocket it, find a way to manage it, find a way to maintain it. so that it doesn't disrupt you and keep you from doing what you want to do. We actually do have a couple of resources that might help you if your goal is to quit your job. The Black Wealth Bootcamp, that's one of the things we talk about. We prepare Black people to quit their job by understanding wealth, entrepreneurship, etc. It's a great class. Everybody loves it. You can go to theblackwealthbootcamp.com if you're interested. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. Also, there's another class in the Black Business School that you may want to check out, co-taught by myself and Noma Langamushali Moses. You can find out about that class at idon'twantaboss.com. idon'twantaboss.com. If you go to that URL, you can actually get the first month free. So you can sign up, try it out for a month, see if you like it. And what we do in the class is we actually talk about the steps we took to be able to quit our jobs, the steps that we took, to escape. And it wasn't easy. It was very, very difficult. But Noma is the homie. She and I, we've been friends for about maybe 6-7 years. And I remember when she and I were talking about quitting our jobs. I was still at Syracuse. She was still at her job. We had the same problems, same racism, same everything. We were both teaching. And also the thing that was the kicker for her was that her kids were being misclassified by the school system. Her kids were being destroyed and harmed by the system. And Noma was like, you might hurt me, but you ain't gonna mess with my kids. So what she did was she quit her job. Noma's structure. She likes to make plans. So she made plans. She quit her job. She started homeschooling her kids. So she actually teaches people now how she figured out how to homeschool her kids. She literally didn't know nothing about homeschooling, nothing. But went and read a book about homeschooling. There are books for things if you don't know how to do things, right? She read a book about homeschooling, looked up the rules and procedures and learned the procedures and designed a curriculum for her children. Now her kids are the happiest kids in the world and very, very, very smart, well advanced for their age. So I believe homeschooling is a solution. In fact, if you want to know what projects we're working on, I was meeting with Dr. Tyra Selden, a noted educator, just a brilliant woman. She was at the All Black National Convention. And I met with her, and we have a plan. We're putting a plan in place to develop a digital homeschool that will stretch across the world, where any parent in the world will be able to sign their child up and send their child to school every day under our guidance. We have experts, African American and Black, just Black people, not even African Americans, Black experts all around the world who care about Black children and want them to be well educated. So we said, look, all these experts are out here. I know where they're at. Many of them work with Your Black Education already. Your Black Education is one of our platforms. I said, so why don't we get those experts together and bring together those resources and teach our own kids? And then we could have a low monthly fee because technology allows you to scale up. There are things you can do digitally that you cannot do with brick and mortar very easily. So they would say, well, do you want to build a brick and mortar school? I said, no, let's look into the blended learning models and the other digital models that are out there and see if there's ways to use technology to create a very effective educational platform that doesn't cost a whole lot, but also allows you to use technology to keep your costs down. So it doesn't cost a whole lot for the parent and doesn't cost a whole lot for us, because we ain't sitting on 20 million, to do stuff like that. But we are sitting on $1 billion worth of brilliance. We got billions of dollars. I've never felt like I was broke. I never felt like I was poor, because my brain's worth a few billion right there. And then I get together with other billionaire brains, and we can do some heavy things. We can do a lot of heavy lifting in the community. Not just me. I'm talking about all the brilliant Black people out here. So if you are one of those people, I hope that you'll remain connected in our network, offer your resources, do whatever you can to help us solve these problems. In fact, one platform we actually have, which is free. You can just jump in and join the conversation. If you go to intelligentblackpeople.com, links to a private Facebook group that we have where we have conversations about smart people stuff, the future of the community. We believe that we can be a part of planning what the future generations are going to see, what Black America is going to be like 100, 200 years from now. So in case you want to know the things I think about when I'm sitting around, that's what I think about. So William, if you want to help, William says, how can I help? Well, if you want to help, start off by shoot me an email. My email address, y'all can write it down. It's boyce@boycewatkins.com. That's boyce@boycewatkins.com. And when you email me, you're going to get an email right back that'll list all the different resources we have, all the different programs we have, everything we have that will allow you to achieve whatever goal you want. And you can decide how to kind of pop in. In fact, we actually have an internship program now. You can't apply because I put out a little feeler and said, who wants to be an intern? We got too many applications. We got 50 something people that applied. And so the thing is, Gregory says my glasses are gangster. So just call me Gangsta B. That's going to be my name today. We got too many interns. So now we were sitting here like, okay, how are we going to organize all these interns? Where are we going to put them? Because Lord knows we could use the help. I mean, it's not so easy running a business without white people's money, but I believe it can be done. I know it can be done. I mean, I figured, well, I mean, I have the highest level of education imaginable in finance, so I assume that I should be able to be one of the people that helps to solve this critical problem in our community. Now, somebody's commenting under my name, so I bet that might be one of my interns or somebody on my team. So whoever it is, say your name, like Beyonce said, say your name so I know who it is, so I can give you a shout out. It could be Brianda, it could be Jen, it could be somebody else on the team, or even Roosevelt or Yarima or somebody else. So anyway, all right. So let's hop in. And first of all, first and foremost, don't forget, I would like for you to share this. Please share this if you are on social media. Please hit the share button. I want there to be a human grapevine where we are connected deep all around the world with millions of black people, where we can share messages with each other. So hitting that share button is really, really important. Also, please subscribe to something. If you hit the subscribe button or the follow button, then that'll give us a chance to remain connected. Now, let's see here. Let's see. Mashawn says, can you talk to Dr. Perry about the school he opened with Sean Combs? The school's not doing so good. Well, I haven't heard anything. She's talking about Steve Perry. I have not talked to Steve in a while, and I'm just going to keep it real. I think Steve was a little salty with me because I was constructively critical about the comments Steve made about how they got all the boys to cut off their dreadlocks, and he felt like that was progress. And I was like, I love you, Steve, but I can't agree with that, man. And, and really, that's the thing. I feel like a disagreement amongst scholars is part of the game. I mean, that's just what we do, right? I mean, I didn't take it personal. I don't take it personal when people disagree with me. But some people get a little more sensitive about that. So I think poor Steve, I think he might be a little bit mad at me right now. But I hope not, because I love Steve Perry. I think Steve is he's a man. He's a real man, and I respect that brother immensely. And I hope that if he's watching or if he hears this from somebody, that he'll call me and we could talk, because I would love to help out. If he and Diddy are trying to do something good. I think that the challenge, the thing that concerned me though, is that the school. When you look at the how can I say this? The trail of work, the body of work of Stephen and Puffy. It's a little bit corporate, a little bit commercialized, and I'd be very curious to see, okay, who's paying for this, and what's this looking like? Because I believe that there are corporate entities that are looking to take over the educational system, and to educate your kids, and I don't think they're doing it because they care. I think they're doing it because they see your children as little paychecks. They see them as little cash registers, and so if the school is being sponsored by McDonald's and Toyota and Walmart. You got to really be cautious about that, because they're probably going to kind of want a certain kind of school. Now, Zulu's asking, please explain online trading. Zulu, we talk about that stuff all the time in the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Boot Camp. I encourage you to go take a class, take one of my finance classes, and all we do is talk about money. We had a meeting the other day in the Black Wealth Academy. You can write this URL down if you want to join that monthly program. It is at theblackwealthacademy.net. That is theblackwealthacademy.net, and we meet sometimes twice a week. And all we talk about is investing. All we talk about is money. All we do is talk about cash. Now, I'll talk about it a little bit, in the live streams, but mostly the live streams are for my show, where we talk about issues that affect black people. But every now and then we'll talk a little bit about business, stuff like that. But if you really want a full class and full lessons, I encourage you to look at the Black Business School. The Black Business School was established as a low-cost, high-quality alternative for those who want the HBCU experience without paying $50,000 a year. A lot of HBCUs are very, very expensive. A lot of major universities are expensive. And the Black Business School, most of our classes, you can get classes from us for under $100 a month, and they're taught by experts. They're taught by PhDs. They're taught by the same people, the same people that you get in a university. I taught on college campuses for 23 years, and that's why we established our platform, is to have an alternative, because I said, this stuff can be done a lot cheaper than what people are charging. Now, let's see here. Now, I'm going to... Oh, okay. Who said I got to go? Somebody said I had to go. Be good, Doc. Okay. Mikhail said I have to go. Be good, Doc. All right, Mikhail. Thank you for hanging out, brother. I appreciate you so much. All right. So let's see. I'm looking down here. Brant says we need to stop trying to change the system and create a world system of our own. I agree with you, Brand. I mean, I think that I'm not. I think the reason I don't get so offended by what white people do to us in their system is because I know how the game works. I know that it's their system. I know that you can't move up in somebody else's house and expect to be able to move around the furniture. I don't really, even when I look at Nate Park and the situation with him and, them trying to bring up this 17-year-old case to derail his movie. I talked to the Final Call about that. Final Call is one of the media outlets, one of the few outlets. They're one of the few outlets on earth where I take every interview request that they make because I love the Final Call. I love the Nation of Islam. I love Minister Farrakhan. I don't always agree with Farrakhan. Everybody, there's room to disagree. And Farrakhan's man enough that he doesn't take offense to that if you disagree. He thinks that disagreement actually makes you smarter when you hear other ideas that are different from your own. That's another reason I respect him as a scholar, as a human being. But I talked to the Final Call. We were talking about this Nate Parker thing and how I felt, and I said, well, I mean, you have black people that fit into what I call the assimilationist category. They see what white people have, right? And now white people got it, they stole it from us. So it's really, a lot of it's really ours. We know this, right? But they control it, and they see their systems, they see their money, and they say, well, I'm an American too, damn it. And according to the Constitution, I'm supposed to get equitable treatment and equitable opportunities like everybody else. So I want to go over there and get that money. So you see Nate, look at his life. I mean, Nate, he hung out with the white girls. The whole rape case was about a white girl. He married a white woman. He rolls through Hollywood. He's connected. Now he's telling a black story. For that, he should be commended. So it's not to say he's an Uncle Tom because he has a white wife, but that's not the life I would live. I don't really roll with white folks like that because I know their history. I know what to expect. Now, I'm not saying that they're all bad. I'm just saying that they're different. They're different from us. And I also will say to you that they don't see you the way they see themselves and the way they see each other. They don't see you the way you see yourself. And so because I know this, my expectations are different from an assimilationist. I don't go into, if I'm working in Hollywood, I'm Nate Parker. I got my white wife and my white friends and my white companies I'm working with. I don't expect them to treat me. I don't expect them to want to even fund a movie about Nat Turner. I'm like, why would y'all fund a movie about Nat Turner? That's my story, and he's talking about rebelling and taking away your power. Like, why would a white person, if I'm white, I'm not going to put money into a Nat Turner movie. Why would I want to do that? That's crazy. So at the end of the day, I kind of believe that, the rule of competition, the rule of being a man in this world is you got to understand that to get true freedom, you must always be willing to pay your own way. If you want true freedom, you must be willing to pay your own way. White people will never finance your freedom. They won't even finance ideas that lend themselves to your freedom. They won't to your liberation. They're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. At best, you might get a loan or maybe a partnership where they say, okay, we'll let you be free, but we still going to control you, right? And so, it didn't surprise me when Hollywood wouldn't fund the movie. If I'm white, I wouldn't fund that movie neither because that's some real stuff. Nate Partner wasn't no coon. Not Nate Partner. I'm sorry, Nat Turner. Nat Turner was a real black man. It didn't surprise me that they went after him with the rape case. Why? Well, because Nate Parker committed the most cardinal sin in the mind of a white person. He did literally the worst thing that a black man could do in America, according to them, according to his detractors. Now, I think Nate's cool. I mean, I'm fine with Nate. I mean, he was acquitted. So I'm like, okay, the brother was acquitted. He was in Butt Crack, Pennsylvania, probably with an all-white jury. If they couldn't find a reason to string him up, then maybe there was no evidence. I read the transcripts. I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm not defending a rapist because I ain't going to defend a rapist. Hell no. If his brother raped somebody, I'm not standing with this guy. I'm reading the transcripts. It's like, and she said, he said, okay. She said, I'm reading it. I'm trusting my instincts. I'm like, no, she didn't get raped. She did something that is one of those things that has mixed interpretation depending on who you ask. She liked to sleep around. Cool, fine. I ain't judging nobody who has sex. She got pissy drunk and she had sex with two guys at once and she was ashamed of it. because she made decisions that she wouldn't have made if she had not been under the influence of alcohol. And in typical white feminist tradition, I'm talking about extreme white feminists, a typical white feminist tradition, she refused to take accountability for her own choices. She felt that it was your fault I got drunk and chose to have sex with all these people or whatever. That's really the logic. Like really, there are literally feminists who will say that if a woman has been drinking, she's tipsy, and you say, will you have sex with me? And she says yes, then somehow you raped her because she wasn't in a position to consent. Well, what if we both drunk? Maybe I wouldn't have asked you to have sex with me if I wasn't drunk too. Do I get to pretend like you made me do everything I did? No, I don't get to do that. Why? Because I'm a man. I'm evil, right? But seriously, that's what these white feminists believe. And black people don't get that. Most black people I know, I'm talking about normal black people. Now, you got a lot of black women, unfortunately, that have trained themselves to call themselves feminists. And I think they should be educated to find a better term. Find something that's yours. Stop borrowing what they gave you. Find something that's yours. Be part of those strong black women who don't like brothers disrespecting them, because you need that. You need that core of support, because you got brothers out here that are really talking bad about black women that don't make no damn sense. Starting with these ignorant rappers, some dudes in the conscious community, calling women all kinds of names. You stand up against that. Real men will stand with you, and I agree with that. However, calling yourself a feminist links you to all this insanity. Let me tell you about the insanity. Let me start. Margaret Sanger. Have you ever seen the quotes about Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood? Do you know how often Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was quoted to say that she's utilizing Planned Parenthood as a pathway for the extermination of black people? Do you understand this? So do you understand that when you run around rah-rah Planned Parenthood, do you realize that you're supporting something that was created by somebody who created this organization to exterminate black babies? They don't want black babies to be born. And you know what? It's working, because they're almost, I want to say that there's more black babies that are aborted than there are that are actually born. So that's the first thing. Now, I'm not saying this ain't an abortion conversation. I don't want to get into all that. That's your choice. I personally don't want no parts of an abortion. One time I participated in helping someone get an abortion. I said, I'm not doing this no more, because I'm not putting this thing on my soul. I'm too visual. I'm too literal in my thinking. When you tell me you're pregnant, when my adopted daughter told me she was pregnant, I saw a person. I did not see a bunch of cells. I didn't see just an embryo. I didn't see just a body part. I saw a person. And now guess what? That baby is a person. She's not a figment of my imagination. She's a real human being. And so when you tell me you're pregnant and you want to get the abortion, I'll be like, okay, well, hey, if I can help talk you out of it. I did talk one of my friends out of getting an abortion. It was interesting. She told me she was getting an abortion. I said, okay, well, why are you getting an abortion? She said, well, because me and my husband can't afford to have another baby. I said, why not? She said, because we don't have health insurance. I said, okay, now I'm not telling you what to do, but here's what I'm going to do. Really, again, not trying to be political. I'm not getting into those pro-anti fights, my body. I'm not trying to get into all of that. But what I did say to her was, I said, it seems to me, as a young man who was born to a 17-year-old mother who would have easily gotten an abortion if she could have. If they were giving away free abortions, I wouldn't be here, right? I said, look, I would hate for you to make a permanent decision based on a temporary condition. When that child is 45 years old, 45 years from now, you're not going to be in the position that you are right now. And I would just hate for him to lose the chance to live because you can't afford health insurance right now in the year 2013 or whatever year it was. So I said, look, here's what I'll do. I said, I'm not going to tell you to get whether you should or shouldn't get an abortion. But what I will say is that it's imperative upon me as a child of God or whatever I'm supposed to be. God is some higher power is telling me to say this to you right now. I said, I can afford to get your health insurance. So why don't you allow me to pay your health insurance so that if you choose to get an abortion, you won't end the life of your child because you couldn't get health care. Like, to me, again, if you abort because it's just something that you want to do and 30 years from now you're not gonna regret it, that's fine. But if it's for something like I got a semester left in school, I mean, that's kind of short-sighted to me. Like, you're not going to be in school that long. Like, but the baby's life's going to be much longer than the amount of time you were in school. You know, my mother was really struggling. The year that I was born, my mother was really struggling financially. But 2 years later, she was doing fine. And so we've had the next 40-something years to be together as mother and son. So I would hate for all of that to be thrown away because of what she was going through in 1971 when I was born. I gave away my age. So if y'all can do math, you know how old I am now. You know, so long story short, you know, that's my position. So the feminist thing, that's my problem with it is that, you know, it's kind of like when they talk about abortion, they talk about a baby's life like it just don't matter, like it just means nothing. Like, oh well the baby, if I just want to date and keep having sex and hanging out, then and I don't want to have a baby for another year, then let's just abort the little motherfucker. Like I can't do that. I can't talk about a child like it's not a person. Now the other thing, here's the other part that's really hilarious to me. Zaza Ali brought this to my attention. I looked it up. It had me cracking up. Have y'all ever seen the free bleeding movement where the feminists literally don't want to wear tampons? Like, they don't want to wear maxi pads, so they like let the blood run down their leg. Like, that's weird to me. That's kind of strange. And so anyway, that's why I can't understand. I don't get with it. But here's the thing. White feminists have had a war with white men for a long time because white men were oppressive sons of bitches. They did horrible stuff to women, you know, and they wouldn't let them work, wouldn't let them make decisions, wouldn't let them buy property, wouldn't let them do nothing. Black women ain't never really been oppressed by black men like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are black women out there who have been legitimate victims of male domestic violence, and that's something that's entirely unacceptable. But in terms of us oppressing you with our massive wealth and power, we ain't got all of that. You know, I know a lot of brothers who just trying to stay out of jail. You know, so black women have, if anybody's been in a position to oppress, at least economically, it's usually been the black woman. She's the one that got the good job and the good benefits and the good money usually. Now, I haven't had that problem. Usually, it's funny. Like when I have met women or hung out or whatever in terms of dating, I usually make the most money. I usually have the most education. And sometimes sisters didn't know what to do with that. They'd be like, well, wait, you know, it was almost like they were looking for something about me that they needed to fix. And I'd be like, well, you don't have to really fix me. My mama raised me right, and I don't drink, and I'm not out here, you know, doing stupid stuff. So you don't really need to fix me. So I'm kind of okay. And some people have a hard time adjusting to that. It's almost like when I have friends that play basketball. If you're like 6'2", you're not tall enough to be the center. But if you're at a school where everybody's short, then and you're the tallest kid, you're going to be the center, right? Even if you're only 6'2". So if you take that player who's 6'2", who's used to being the tallest, if you put him in college and he's now one of the shortest, he has a hard time adjusting. So sometimes you have people that have a hard time flipping it when suddenly they're not the person who has it all together. So anyway, with that being said, look, the feminists have a lot of power. Their battle with white men has yielded lots and lots of reach and influence over the years. And they, when they get mad at you, they can usually take you down. They can hammer you, especially if you're anywhere in mainstream media. If you're making a movie, this is going back to Nate Parker, in case you wonder. If you're Nate Parker and you're about to make a movie and you're out there in Hollywood, guess what? The feminists are running the Huffington Post. The feminists are running the major magazines. The feminists when they come and get you, you're done. The feminists, the gay white men, all of that, they're going to come get you, right? So Nate pissed off the feminists because he committed the cardinal sin of harming a white woman. In typical feminist tradition, the way they've written the narrative, the way they've written the story is Nate Parker, big black brute, hurts and harms and takes advantage of innocent, loving white women who could have gone on to do amazing things. They don't say Nate Parker got drunk with a white girl who had regrettable sex, who also was the same girl who met him and gave him oral sex on the first day that they met. They don't say that part. They don't say all that, but they'll do that to a black man in a minute. They'll disgrace a dead black man in a second. They'll tell you in the 8th grade he was suspended because he had marijuana, you know, or whatever, as if that has anything to do with the case, right? But they won't do that to a white woman. When Nicole Simpson was murdered by OJ, I really believe OJ killed Nicole. I'm not gonna lie, I think he killed Nicole. When that happened, they didn't talk about the real Nicole Simpson. They showed this beautiful blonde angel that was harmed by this brutish black man. Do you see the trend here? Do you see the pattern? Do you understand how this connects to the things that had led to the murder and the castration and the lynchings of hundreds, maybe thousands of black men all throughout history? Do you know how many times black men have died for being accused of harming a white woman? Not convicted, accused. Because the minute you get accused, you ain't gonna have a trial in some of these towns. They're gonna come get your ass out of jail. They're gonna pull the gun out on the sheriff and tell the sheriff, you better let us in to get that nigga. And they will come get you. They will take you out and they will do justice to you without the trial even happening, just on a mere accusation. So let's fast forward to 2016, shall we? Nate Parker is accused of raping a white woman. Nate Parker goes on trial. Nate Parker is acquitted of the crime. Butt Crack, Pennsylvania, all white jury. They look at all the evidence. If there was a reason to string him up, believe me, they would have done it. But there was nothing there, right? So they say, let's let him go. 17 years later, they see Nate's got this big movie coming out, and the movie is not exactly the kind of movie white people would make, because they want you to see The Butler. If he was making The Butler Part 2 or The Help, or something like that, they probably wouldn't have said nothing. They would say, yeah, he might have did it, but he's such a good boy. He's such a lovable Negro. They love a black man when he's acting like a damn farm animal. Look at Charles Barkley and all these other lovey-dovey Negroes out here. When a black man puts on a wig and a dress, they think that's adorable, right? So, but no, Nate's a strong black man making a strong black movie. You know what? Let me go back and let me dig up his past, and let's act like he was convicted. Let's act like we know that he did this, even though there's nothing to say that he did. He was acquitted. The transcript did it for me, because I was like, man, these feminists are coming at him now. Woo, he's in trouble. Let me see what they're going to say about this brother now. And again, I'm not immediately going to jump to his defense, not because I wouldn't support another brother. I do. But if a brother's doing something wrong to somebody, I'm not going to support that nonsense. Like, I didn't really jump out and heavily support Bill Cosby. I just told the truth in my perspective. I said, yeah, Bill Cosby probably did rape some people. I believe that he did. And Bill Cosby was a piece of shit. Yeah, because the stuff he did to his wife was pretty messed up. But I said at the same time, the statute of limitations says, according to y'all's laws, Bill Cosby can't be prosecuted. This happened 40 years ago. According to y'all's laws, there was no rape kits. There was no evidence. There were no police reports filed. Very few police reports filed. So you can't go back and get him for something that somebody said he did 40 years ago. Game lost. Maybe the next Bill Cosby, if he commits a rape, then you can go get him. But you can't get him for the things that happened in the past. But here, let me tell you something about America. See, you live in this country called America. And let me tell you something about your country that you may not understand. Rules and laws are arbitrary in the eye of those who make those laws. That means that when I'm talking to you as a black man or a black woman, yeah, you got to follow the rules, because those rules are designed to control people like you. And those rules apply as long as they don't hurt me. But the minute I decide as the creator of those rules that they no longer apply, then guess what? I'm going to be bending the hell out of those rules because I can do it. It's like imagine if you have a parent. See, because white people are like your parents. They're your political, your psychological, and your economic parents. And let me explain why. So imagine if you have a parent who tells their child, okay, we're going to make a rule. Everybody has to go to bed at 9 o'clock. There's no swearing in the house. And if you get caught swearing, you got to put money in the swear jar, right? So if the child gets caught swearing, he's got to put money in the swear jar. He stays up past 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever the number is, he's going to get punished for that. So what if one day the parent cusses? They say, damn, right? And the child's like, oh, mommy, you cuss. You got to put money in the swear jar. Well, the mommy might be like, okay, you're right. All right, I'll put money in the swear jar, right? But she's doing it out of the goodness of her heart. If she really doesn't want to do it, she can be like, no, I don't have to do it because I made the rule. It's my rule. So white people, that's what they're doing to you. When they bend the rules, when they act like somebody's guilty even though they're innocent or even though they were acquitted, they're looking at you like, well, I mean, we control these laws. We made these laws anyway. So in this particular case, we decided the law does not apply. So maybe if you're talking about a cop who murdered a black man, then yeah, the rule applies. If you're acquitted, then you must be innocent. You didn't do it. But when it comes to a black man accused of harming a white woman, they will take a not guilty verdict and treat you like you are guilty. They chased O.J. Simpson down for 20 years because they were treating him like he was guilty. Nate Parker has been treated like he was guilty. Nate Parker has been called a rapist in major media outlets. And I'm sitting here like, why ain't he suing these people? Well, the reason he's not going to sue them is because these are his friends. He's down with these people. He's down with that. He's part of Hollywood. And so that's the thing you got to think about, right? This is why I'm wearing this shirt. I escaped the corporate plantation. What does this connect to? This really connects to getting away from oppressive people, getting away from this oppressive system, getting away from white supremacy. So here's what I'm saying. Look, If you go into Hollywood and you're Nate Parker, you got all your string of white girlfriends, you got your white wife, you're trying to make white money, you get going to white studios to get funding for your films. You're an assimilationist to a point. You're trying to integrate and do all this other stuff. Good for you. I hope it works. But here's what happens. When you get into a situation where they decide to put the hammer on your ass, you're more vulnerable than you would have been had you gone in a different direction. The things that white people are doing to Nate Parker, they could not do to me. They could not do these things to me. Why? Because white people, there's not a single white man that I can think of who's paying a single bill in my house. White people don't sustain me. I'm sustained and held down by my community, and that was deliberately structured as a form of economic protectionism. But if I didn't, now I could have fell for the okie doke. I couldn't listen to people who said, well, Boyce, you're really selling yourself short by only marketing and speaking to African Americans. If you really took your message, Boyce, and watered it down and kind of made it race neutral, and talked about diversity in terms of everybody, every person of color and all these other things and all minority groups, then Boyce, you could be making millions of dollars. I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that money. Because the problem for black people is this. This is what y'all need to understand. Immortal Technique, the rapper, said it in an interview, and I love the way he said it. All money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. Black people believe that all money is good money. No. If you slaving at BET, BET, that white-owned company that markets and utilizes and exploits the hell out of black people. If you're black and you work at BET and they're paying you good money to push Poison at the Hip Hop Awards every year, and if I ask you and I say, well, do you really think that Young Thug's message and Rich Homie Quan or back when Bobby Shmurda, before he got sent to prison, do you really think these messages, OT Genesis, I'm in love with the cocoa, cocaine, do you think these messages are good for black children? If I ask you that question, all you can say is, well, look at how much money we making. Woo! If that's all you can say, then I feel sorry for you because you don't understand the dynamic and the power of money. You don't understand how that works. That most of the time when somebody's giving you money, that's a trade, man. You might be selling little chunks of your soul in order to get that money. And the fact of the matter is that we're not in a dire condition. Most of us, well-to-do Negroes, those of us who went to school and have plenty of education, all these other things, we're not in dire situations. If we quit the $300,000 a year job, we can go find a $100,000 a year job. If we ain't making millions, like, yeah, I could be making millions of dollars a year, but okay, I make a few $100,000 a year. I'm still gonna be fine. And I don't have to sell out in order to get access to certain opportunities. So all of you are kind of in that situation on some level. All of you have to make that trade-off. And so I encourage you, when you quit your job, just think about how you're making your money. And all money ain't good money. Don't just take money from anybody because they're going to want something back for that money. So I think that Nate Parker, he knows what game he's playing. He's in the game. He's in the game that he chose. He can't sit here and say, oh, look at what they're doing to me. The lady at the final call asked me an interesting question. She said, does this, outrageous controversy hurt the movie? And I said, well, it depends on how you look at hurt. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, hurt the movie? Okay, it means it's not going to make as much money as it could have made had there would be no controversy and white people loved it. Okay, all right. I said, well, think about it like this. I said, sister, you are a beautiful woman, and you probably could make more money if you were to work as a prostitute. Let's say that. Again, not that I was suggesting that, but I said you could do that. I said, but you wouldn't do that. And I said, why? I said, because you have standards. And you said, well, you know what? But somebody could say you're hurting your earnings prospects because you're not out here in the corner making money. But we know that that's just a warped way of thinking. Well, so for me, I look at Nate and I say, Nate's going to be fine. Nate ain't in prison. He ain't dead. His movie's going to make millions. Maybe he'll make $80 million instead of $130 million. Who gives a fuck? It's $80 million. That's a lot of money. Nate will still have all the money he needs to do whatever he wants. So I don't feel bad for Nate. I don't feel like, did it hurt the movie? I don't know. It depends on relative to what, right? So I think that I heard the movie's really good. I'm going to support the movie because I support Nate. I think Nate, I think Nate did a great thing by making this film. I'm not Nate Parker. You won't see me married to Becky. You won't see me in some controversy where Dr. Boyce. We're trying to find out if Dr. Boyce, when he got drunk with that white woman, if he was raping her or not. That won't ever be a conversation you'll have about me. And I'm just telling you the truth. It doesn't even attract me. I mean, once you hung out with black women, like most of your life, I mean, you can't don't nothing. Everything other people look like puppies compared to black women. Black women are just the baddest women on earth. So at the end of the day, I would just say that we got to look at it in context. And I think that black people, I think if you care about the movie and you want to see it do well, then go support it. But remember this too. Just make sure you understand this: that when you see the movie, you are putting money in the hands of Fox News, which creates these weird and economically incestuous relationships. So I don't really see this as a pure black movie, but I do see this as an important black story. It's entertainment. We're going to spend money going to the movies anyway. Why not go see Birth of a Nation? Maybe it'll bring awareness to the story of Nate Parker. In fact, actually, speaking of black history, we actually did create theblackhistoryschool.com, where you can go, and we've gathered historians of all backgrounds, black historians. And if you go to theblackhistoryschool.com, you can sign up, and for one monthly fee, you can get access to all the classes that we have. We have extensive dozens and dozens of real well done videos that you can watch with the whole family about all kinds of things. Like one of the things we're doing right now is called Heads of Hate. And in the class Heads of Hate instead of Heads of State, we actually document all the things that American presidents have done toward black people that were harmful. We start with George Washington, and then we move to all the presidents. We got 33 videos that we've done so far. We're going to have another 50 or 60 in the next month or two. And basically, watching Heads of Hate, you can see this series. Like, for example, George Washington, you'd be stunned at the horrible things Washington did to black people. For example, one thing he did was he made a law that said that if you are a fugitive slave and you have a baby, that baby is a slave for life. He also spent his whole life chasing down one of his slaves that had run away from the plantation. So all these people that you're taught to worship, you shouldn't be worshiping these people. These people were your enemy. These were your Adolf Hitlers. So I don't care how people feel about that. The fact is that we don't have to worship these. These people are not my heroes. We also have a class on Black Wall Street. We have a whole study guide on Black Wall Street, unseen anywhere else. There is no other place you can go to get a comprehensive study guide for the entire family on what happened in Black Wall Street, how Black Wall Street was built, what happened during this atrocity. So the blackhistoryschool.com is our way to try to tell our own story. So I hope that you'll go check it out. I guarantee you won't regret it. You're going to love it. It's absolutely off the chain amazing. And our goal really is to educate black people on a few things: on business, on black history, and then eventually when we build our school, when we start our digital school, we're going to aim for children between grades 1 and 3. Because I was talking to Dr. Silver, I said, well, what grade should we start in? And she said 1 to 3. I said, I think that's good. We can grow our own children, right? And so we're going to start off in the first year will be a pilot year. We're only going to do maybe 100 kids. That way we can make sure we work out the kinks, because I don't want to mess up nobody's baby. And then after that, we want to expand, and we want to have thousands and thousands of children. And if you have a well-constructed, well-organized, scalable, and efficient model, you can actually educate hundreds of thousands of children the exact same way. You can do that. And so school systems are outdated. They're flawed. They're messed up. Prince E, a great rapper that I met, I talked to him one time, interviewed him on my YouTube channel. He did this great video about the educational system, and it was brilliant. And he really pointed out all the problems with this system that destroys not just black children, but really all children. Don't forget to share this. If you are here and you're happy and you're feeling good, please share this to your social media platform so other people can see it. Also, don't forget we start the new Black Wealth Bootcamp coming up, so you can learn more at theblackwealthbootcamp.com. And also, again, somebody asked if you want this t-shirt, you can go to blackunities.com, blackunities.com. Now, somebody asked, how can I talk to you? Well, you're talking to me now. We're here, but if you want to talk to me one-on-one, which is kind of hard to do because I'd rather talk to lots of people, so that if I say something amazing and brilliant, I'd rather have 10,000 people hear it than to have just one person hear it, because, I mean, everybody should benefit from whatever it is that, that I might have shoved in this brain of mine. But if you want to talk to me one-on-one, we actually do some coaching one-on-one kinds of scenarios. You can email me at boyce@boycewatkins.com. That's boyce@boycewatkins.com. And we also actually have a financial coaching class where you can actually send me a question. I answer it on video, and I go question by question. And that's at askdrboyce.com. That's askdrboyce.com. It's a great learning tool because, and the first month is actually free, so you can give it a try. But it's a great learning tool because it allows you to see all the questions that were answered by a lot of different people from a lot of different perspectives. And so you get a lot of information. And the thing about it is that, and I said this before and I'll say it again, that understanding wealth and money is the most important thing that a black person can learn, especially a child. It's more important than learning how to read. It's more important than learning how to write. It's more important than learning how to do math. Now, let me explain why. The reason it's more important is that you have to ask yourself, which would you rather be? A really highly educated person who doesn't understand money, so you're financially destitute, deep in debt, can't get a job, can't provide for yourself? Or would you rather be an uneducated person who's doing well financially, who's got a strong business, a high income, doing extremely well? I'd rather be the uneducated person who's doing well than the highly educated person who's not doing well, right? So, because there's a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of education that are struggling. There are professors that are making minimum wage. There are professors that are making less than McDonald's employees. And I'm like, how can you be a professor and be making less than a McDonald's employee? Well, the reason is because you don't understand nothing about how to go and create your own damn job. You have a gift, but have no capacity in terms of understanding how to create a market for your own gift. Everything you get paid to do exists. The reason you get the paychecks is because somebody went out and created a market. When you go work at Chick-fil-A, the reason Chick-fil-A gives you a paycheck is because Chick-fil-A went out and got customers and they built a brand so customers will come through and buy chicken and they pay you with the chicken money. So, but if you don't understand business, you're not thinking on that level, all you see is I go to work every day and Chick-fil-A is giving me a check for how many hours I work. So I must be valuable because I'm getting paid this money for putting in a certain amount of time. It ain't the time that gets you the paycheck. You can put in all the time. I could spend 1,000,000 hours counting the number of molecules in this coffee cup if I wanted to, but nobody's going to pay me for that. Just because it's hard and just because I spent a lot of time, that doesn't mean it's worth any money. It's all about understanding business models. Now, somebody asked, did he say the blackhistoryschool.com? It is the blackhistoryschool.com. That's the blackhistoryschool.com. Also, there's the blackrealestateschool.com. If you want to learn real estate, we have a school for that too. TheBlackRealEstateSchool.com. We've got real estate experts that will teach you everything about an important part of the black experience, which is learning how to build wealth and in terms of ownership. Let me tell you about America. Here's what you need to know about America. America's rigged. I've told you, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. America is fucking rigged. And I'm going to stop cussing. I'm going to stop saying it. I didn't mean to say it, but I had to. America is rigged in favor of people that do three things. People who own stock, people who own land, and people who own businesses. If you own stock and you own land and you own businesses, then every tax break in the world will be in your favor. Every law in the world will be in your favor. Every economic scenario in the world will be in your favor. If you don't, then you're going to get screwed. Globalization is an interesting thing. I was reading The Economist magazine when I was on an airplane, and they were writing an article about globalization. And I think that's such an interesting thing to kind of analyze. Like, what's globalization? That's where, all the borders shut down from different countries economically, where you can hire somebody in India or Russia to do a job, to run your call center at AT&T or whatever, or goods and services are being exported from one country to another at a low price. Now, globalization is good in one hand, right? Because that's how you can go to Walmart and buy a shirt for 25 cents, right? Because globalization allows them to get the shirts from China and sell them here in the U.S. and sell them cheap. But the thing about globalization is that it doesn't benefit everybody. It mostly benefits, in my opinion, it mostly benefits people at the very top or people at the very bottom. And when I say the very bottom, I'm not talking about America poor. we got low poverty, but if you really want to see poverty, go to parts of Africa, go to South America. Go to Thailand or somewhere. Those are the places where you're gonna see some real poverty. That's where you're gonna see some real China. And so where people are making living off $5 a month, that type of thing. And what happens is that Because of the globalization, what it does is it allows that really poor Chinese person, a really poor person in India, to increase their income a little bit because they can get a job working in a call center in the United States. But then it also helps the big industrialist, the big wealthy person, because they can get labor cheap all around the world and get goods cheap all around the world and sell them in America, right? And make their money, right? But the thing about it is that for many of us, for many of y'all educated Negroes who are like in the middle, you're not dirt poor, but you're not filthy rich. You kind of have a choice of which direction you want to go in. This is something I just thought about today. You have a choice. Do you go toward unskilled labor? Do you go and just try to become an employee your whole life? I believe that if you go that direction, you're going to struggle in globalization, because what's happening is American employee salaries are dropping. That's one of the factors that has explained why the average American can't really pay the bills no more. The average American can't save for the future no more. The average American is not prepared for retirement no more. The average American goes deep in debt for student loans or for health care and can't get out of that debt no more, right? Or you can go the other direction where you say, I want to be an owner of capital. How does that happen? Well, I don't know. Maybe I can go take a class and understand what that means, what it means to think like an owner, what it means to think like somebody who owns businesses, who owns land, who participates in the stock market. That's why we created the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Boot Camp, because these are very simple things I can teach you very quickly, but you got to have the momentum. You got to be interested in it. One of the things I was talking to my manager about, as I said, it is so interesting to me that you'll see parents that won't spend that much money on educational programs for their kids, but when football season comes around or baseball season comes around, they go all out. They go like, my baby needs a new uniform. I'm gonna buy my baby some cleats. I spent $1,000 going to sending him to football camp, or my daughter to cheerleading camp. It's crazy to me. But then when it comes to educational programs, people are like, oh, that's $30. Oh, I don't know that. I don't want to spend no $30. But you just spent $45 at Applebee's. Like, why won't you invest in your kids? Like, really? What's wrong with you? So anyway, I'm gonna quit talking about that. Let's first thing I want to say this too. I gotta mention this. This is very important. Let's please keep the people of Haiti in our hearts and our minds. I've been reading about the devastation there, and it's bothered the hell out of me. I hope that you go find some good charities to give to. I was looking online, and I asked people on my Facebook page if they could recommend reliable charities where we can give money to help the poor people in Haiti. They've been devastated by this hurricane, and I've been thinking about it, and it's just I've been infuriated by what I have seen with the charities in Haiti that milked the hell out of the people in that country, where they collected $13 billion, and all it did was made white people rich. And that's what they do. That's, go watch the documentary Poverty Inc. If you go watch the documentary Poverty Inc., you will see a great example of how these aid organizations end up just milking the hell out of the countries they claim to help. Now I'm looking here. I'm trying to see if there's anybody that has a recommendation on an organization that. Let's see. Denise is saying ITNAC. I don't know ITNAC. She says Google it, so please Google it. Let's see here. I don't see. No. It looks like nobody's recommended any countries or any organizations yet. But I don't really trust the Red Cross that much. I certainly don't trust the Clinton Foundation. If you want to know just how crooked they are, go watch the documentary Clinton Cash. It's on YouTube. Go watch Clinton Cash. Let me see here. There's lifeyoucansave.org. Lifeyoucansave.org. D. Hampton recommends that organization. I'm just looking and I don't see. Now, literally, there's an article in the Huffington Post that says the Red Cross built exactly 6 homes for Haiti with nearly $500 million in aid. 6 homes. I mean, it's crazy. It's horrible. So anyway, please keep the people of Haiti in your hearts and minds, and let's hope for the best for those people there. Let me see here. I'm going to shoot. Let me see. It's telling me I'm disconnected here on social media. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Brand said it's not simple to come to get together and be ruled by money unless people realize what needs to be done with their money. That's really true. I'm doing all I can to help educate as many people as possible on money and how it works. We actually have a program for children. Somebody type it in. It's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. I see Michelle Martin says, hey. She gave me the why. It's like, hey, how you doing, Michelle? Good to see you. Let's see here. What else? Okay, I'm looking here. I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm not okay. Kanzada is. It looks like Kanzada might be correcting me about the Nate Parker movie. He said, Kanzada says Fox Searchlight, a division for Fox, owner of Fox News. Oh, AKA Black Hater. Now, not mind you, Fox Searchlight is who bought the Nate Parker movie. So this is interesting. This is like, to me, this reflects the interesting diversification strategy of Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch's like, he's like the Koch brothers. Koch brothers do this. He's like, well, whether you like me or not, you're gonna give me money. You might hate me on the left hand, but you're gonna love me in the right. So ultimately, Murdoch is actually a smart businessman. And what I'm really hoping is that the black community can generate our economic army. With Project 100,000, that's our effort to produce 100,000 black children in the next generation who know the basics of wealth building, cooperative economics, entrepreneurship, how money works, all these things. We took one of our programs and we chopped it down to the point where the cost is affordable for anybody. You can sign up at blackfinancialsuperstars.com. That's blackfinancialsuperstars.com. For a limited time, we've actually cut the price in half because we don't want you to say, well, I would have gave my child a lifetime of knowledge about wealth, but I couldn't afford $30 or whatever. Like that's not even a sentence that should come out of your mouth. So if you trust me and you believe that I can educate your child, we have plenty of reviews. Parents love it. There's a money back guarantee. Go to blackfinancialsuperstars.com. We've actually got, I think we're at a point where we're in the process of educating almost 3,000 youth. And so I believe that if we step that up, maybe if we can quadruple that and hit, say, 10, 15,000 a year, we can actually reach that goal of hitting 100,000 in the next decade. And so if we do that, what's going to happen is that first 100,000 kids will educate, they will create jobs for the next 50 million kids, right? Because there's a lot of parents whose kids are not going to be equipped with this information. So ultimately, by equipping your child can create jobs for those kids whose parents didn't take the time to do these things. Also in that program, we actually have an option where you can sponsor someone else's child. We have a lot of parents that they either won't or don't have the money. So you can actually sponsor. If you got it like that, you can actually pay for 3 kids and your child will get in for free. So if you pay for 3 kids or more, your child gets in for free. Just hit the option where it's 3 kids and just know there's a monthly fee, but I guarantee that it's worth it. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna roll out of here. Somebody's asking, what's this t-shirt say? This says, I escaped the corporate plantation. It has a little brown spot on it. That's because I was drinking my cafe mocha. Hope y'all can forgive me. I get excited when I drink my mocha. I was drinking I was like a crackhead. But anyway, I escaped the corporate plantation. Actually, these are shirts that my company actually made, Your Black World, the Your Black World Network. You can actually buy the shirt at blackunities.com, blackunities.com. So if you did escape the corporate plantation, please feel free to show your love. I'd love to have you in there. And also at the Your Black World store, we got a ton of stuff in there, a ton of great books. Dr. Julianne Malveau's books are there. My books are there. We got films over there. So if you go to store.yourblackworld.net, that's store.yourblackworld.net. We got a whole bunch of really cool stuff. So if you want to buy black, I hope you'll buy black with us. You just know that that's what we're doing with the money. Now, somebody's asking, how did you escape the plantation? I already talked about it a little bit, but, to give you kind of an overview, basically, I started dreaming bigger. And, I stopped dreaming about the little shit and started dreaming about the big shit. I stopped dreaming about being, the most respected scholar in my department and started saying, well, maybe I could be one of the most influential scholars in the world. I stopped thinking about what it's like to just have a certain degree and be accepted by white folks. I started thinking about, well, what's it like? Maybe I can go back to my community and build an empire over there. Instead of me getting close to somebody else's power, maybe I can create real power with black power. And that's when I started thinking about it, because a lot of us don't have confidence to believe that we can actually build our own power in our own community. We actually think that the best option we have is to hitch onto somebody else's wagon. And I'm going to tell you, that's the wrong way to think, because your grandchildren are paying a price. You're mortgaging the future of your family and your community when you spend your whole life chasing after somebody else's shit. When you're chasing after trying to get down, be part of somebody else's job, that ain't your job. That ain't your company. You don't own none of that. You don't own none of that. You are building somebody else's legacy, somebody else's family situation, but you're not building your own. And if you don't do it, if you don't build something, then your children and grandchildren they're going to have to start all over again. They're going to start all over again. But if you start something, and even if it's small, even if you struggle, you're laying a foundation. Do you understand? You're laying a foundation. Remember, Kobe Bryant came from Jelly Bean Bryant. And Jelly Bean Bryant was a decent player, but he wasn't as good as Kobe. But if it wasn't for Jelly Bean, you never would have had Kobe. Remember, Steph Curry came from Del Curry. Del Curry was all right. He was okay, but he wasn't Steph Curry. Steph Curry is one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. So there never would have been a Kobe Bryant or a Steph Curry without a Jelly Bean and a Del. So maybe in your life, you might feel like Jelly Bean Bryant. You might feel like, man, I'm working my butt off. I have Warren Buffett dreams, but I can barely pay the bills. I don't have a whole lot of money. But but it's okay, because your child will be starting, at a better position they would have been if you spent your whole life working for somebody else. So they will take what they will watch you, they will see you struggle, they're going to see where you fail, they're going to see where you succeed. It's going to inspire them, and they're going to want to impress daddy, and they're going to try to take what daddy built or what mama built and build 10 times greater. And then one day when they're receiving some lifetime achievement award for being the biggest billionaire philanthropist in the world, they're going to say, I remember when my daddy ran the trucking operation that he had, and he became an entrepreneur, and he had never been trained on entrepreneurship, and my daddy worked so hard, and then I remember seeing when they came and they took his company, and the IRS gave him all this trouble. My daddy never gave up, and he taught me all these lessons. So when I went to Harvard, the only thing I was thinking was I wanted to build a business. So I took the little bit of money my daddy left me in his life insurance policy, because my poor daddy died young because he worked so hard for me, and I took that money and I put it into something, and now I've got this multi-billion-dollar behemoth. You got to let your kids start somewhere. You can't have them starting at ground zero. That doesn't make any sense. You're not supposed to start all over again every generation. You just think that that's normal because you're African American, which means that a lot of our thinking comes from slavery. So we can't just sort of live in the struggle. You got to climb out of that struggle, man. And the only way you're going to climb out is if you start that process now. So anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to get on out of here. I've been here for an hour. And y'all always make me say stuff that's going to get me in trouble with white people. I got to go defend what I say. But I'm speaking in Dallas. I'm going to be at the Frederick Douglass Academy tomorrow at 5 p.m. I don't know what the URL is to sell tickets, and I hope that they don't get mad at me for not mentioning the URL, because I swear to God I don't know it. But because it was Dr. Boyce Dallas where we were selling our tickets. They gave us 100 tickets. They said, here, you can sell these tickets. We said, okay, our tickets sold out. But I hear that there are more. So if you want to come out and you live in Dallas, please come to the Frederick Douglass Academy. Now, those who are asking, some people are asking about the event with Claude Anderson at the end of October in D.C. Unfortunately, Dr. Anderson won't be able to make it because he's having some health challenges. So his speaking schedule has been pretty much ripped down because he can't do anything. But I know that I want to go to D.C. And I know that if the King Library, makes their space available, then I will come to D.C. We will have panels. We're going to have 3. I'll be there for 2 days, and we'll do something pretty amazing. But anyway, if you also want to know more, if you want to know more about how to quit your job, we do have a class where the first month is free at idon'twantaboss.com. So you go to idon'twantaboss.com, and you can actually try it out for the first month, see if you like it. Just know that if you don't like it, you should leave, because you will get billed after 30 days. So, but the first 30 days are totally free. If you're interested in teaching wealth building to your kids, you can go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Also, if you want to learn real estate, write these things down. I always give URLs. Let's see, Dr. B, somebody's asking, Dr. B, can you name all these sites? Okay, I'm going to go through the sites, so grab your pen. I'm going to give you some websites you can go to if you want to join, if you want to be a student of mine, you want to be in one of my classes. I'm going to give you a few. I tend to have information overload, and the reason there's so much information is because that's just how I am. I'm always sort of carrying all kinds of stuff in my mind, ideas. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I have ideas, and I write it down, and I say, oh, we could build this, and we could create that, and we could do this, and we can do that. But because I feel like the time's limited. Your time's limited on this earth. So when you want to do something, you got to just go ahead and do it. If you want to build the company, you got to go ahead and do it. If you want to quit your job, you got to find a way to go ahead and do it. I'm not saying just quit your job with no plan, but go ahead and make a plan, go ahead and do it. If you want to go meet with your loved ones and start talking about building a business, go ahead and do it now. If you want to go if you like some dude down the block and you want to run up and tell him, go tell him now. If you have a sibling you haven't talked to and you need to reconcile, go do it now. Because when people are dead, they're gone. When their opportunity's gone, it's gone. When you get old, you're gonna stay old. You won't get young again. So go do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Don't be scared. Just make it work. Have faith that you're gonna make it work. All right. So anyway, let me give you some URLs. Write this down if this helps you. If you want to get this shirt, you can go to blackunities.com. That's UNITEES.com, blackunities.com. If you want to take the class on how to quit your job that we have, you can go to idon'twantaboss.com, idon'twantaboss.com. If you want to take my Black Wealth Bootcamp, you can go to theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. If you want your kids to learn from me, then you can join our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program. That's our middle program. There's a premium one, and then there's a lower cost one, and then that's the middle one. So I'll give you the middle one. Go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. If you want to learn about real estate, the beginnings of real estate 101, go to now Black Unities. Veronica is spelled with two E's, Black Unities, like T-shirt. If you want to learn real estate, go to theblackrealestateschool.com. That's theblackrealestateschool.com. Don't forget the THE. And if you want to learn Black history and join our class on Heads of Hate, and also we have a class on the history of police and police brutality. We also have a class on a whole curriculum for the whole family on the Black Wall Street atrocity, on something unlike anything you'll see anywhere else. Also, the Heads of Hate class, you won't see that anywhere else either. We create unique stuff there, so you can go to theblackhistoryschool.com and check that out too. And also, there's one business that we're partnered with that I hope you'll also just go take a look at. There's a really good designer by the name of Kelly Michelle who created a site called theblacktoolshop.com. That's theblacktoolshop.com. And that's a cool site because she has really cool taste, and she actually created a Dr. Boyce Watkins dashiki collection. I don't really wear dashikis, but the dashikis that she picked are real nice. So, and there's other stuff too. All right, I'm out of here, guys, and I love you and I appreciate everything. Thank you for hanging out. And Tara says, please link to all these sites you've mentioned, and the YouTube videos are really interesting. Okay, Tara, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this post. If you're on Facebook, and if you're not on Facebook, if you're listening on YouTube or something, you can go to the People Scholar page, which is my page, and you can actually find the links in this video feed. So I'm going to cut and paste it into the status update, so you have all these links, and you can check them out and click on them. And I hope that you'll give us a try and get some education from us, because I can actually teach you a whole lot of stuff, and I just want your life to be better, and we won't charge you a whole lot. So take care, and I love you again, and have a good night. Talk to you soon. Peace.